There was a time when every bite of food told a story, not of trends or diets, but of people, ordinary Americans, shaping a nation through the meals they shared. From diner counters bathed in neon light to picnic blankets spread beneath 4th of July skies, food was never just food. It was family. It was comfort. It was America itself, served hot and with a side of memories. But over the decades, as fads changed and fast food took over, many of our most iconic dishes began to lose their stories. We remember the taste, but not always the journey. Today, we're taking a delicious trip through history to rediscover the flavors that defined a nation, from the golden crust of an apple pie to the sizzling sound of a burger on the grill. These are the top 5 American foods that built the American identity. The meals that didn't just fill our plates, they filled our hearts. Few foods feel more American than a hamburger sizzling on the grill, that smoky aroma drifting across backyard fences every summer evening. The hamburger story begins not in America, but across the ocean, in Hamburg, Germany, where seasoned minced beef patties were a working man's meal. Immigrants brought the idea to America in the 1800s, but it was at small-town fairs and roadside diners in the early 1900s that the hamburger became something truly new. The concept of putting that patty between 2 slices of bread, quick, portable, and satisfying, was revolutionary for the fast-paced industrial America that was just taking shape. Then came the rise of drive-ins, soda fountains, and later, fast food chains like White Castle in the 1920s and McDonald's in the 1950s, all turning the hamburger into a cultural icon. It wasn't just food anymore. It was a symbol of progress, convenience, and a uniquely American optimism. During the post-war boom, hamburgers were everywhere, at family cookouts, ball games, and roadside diners glowing in neon light. They represented unity, the same meal enjoyed by factory workers, truck drivers, and suburban families alike. Every bite was a piece of the American dream, simple, affordable, and full of promise. But behind the nostalgia lies a quieter truth. The hamburger story is also one of change, of how America's love for speed and convenience slowly replaced craftsmanship with mass production. Still, for millions, that first juicy burger off the backyard grill remains a taste of childhood, of summer, of home. And while the hamburger ruled the backyard, another American classic found its home in the oven. A dessert so beloved, it became a symbol of patriotism itself, the sweet and timeless taste of apple pie. If there's one dish that captures the heart of America, it's apple pie. Golden, flaky, warm from the oven. It's not just dessert, it's a symbol. The phrase, as American as apple pie, has been repeated for generations. But the story of this dessert begins long before the stars and stripes ever flew. Early European settlers brought apple seeds and pie-making traditions with them to the New World. By the 18th and 19th centuries, apples were abundant across the colonies, and pies became a way to stretch limited ingredients, sweetened with molasses or honey when sugar was scarce. During the 19th century, apple pie appeared on tables from humble farmhouses to fine city parlors, representing a shared sense of comfort and simplicity. Soldiers in both world wars wrote home about craving it, a slice of normal life in a world turned upside down. And in the booming post-war years of the 1950s, apple pie became a cultural icon, served with ice cream at diners and celebrated in ads as the taste of wholesome Americana. Apple pie symbolized everything Americans wanted to believe about their country: home, family, hard work, and reward. It was there at Sunday dinners, holiday gatherings, and every 4th of July picnic. Baking an apple pie wasn't just cooking. It was an act of love, a quiet way of saying, everything's going to be all right. Yet, what most people don't realize is that the American apple pie is a patchwork of cultures, a recipe born from British tradition, perfected by immigrants and sweetened by generations who made it their own. In that way, it reflects America itself, a blend of many united by something simple and good. And while apple pie warmed the soul, another dish brought families together in a different way: golden, crispy, and filled with Southern pride. Let's talk about the food that turns Sunday dinners into celebrations: fried chicken. The sound of sizzling oil, the smell of crispy, golden skin, and the first bite of tender, seasoned meat. Fried chicken isn't just a meal. For many, it's a memory. Fried chicken has deep roots in the American South, a dish born from blending African, Scottish, and Southern traditions. Enslaved African cooks perfected the art of seasoning and frying chicken in cast iron skillets, passing their knowledge through generations. It was inexpensive, portable, and satisfying, ideal for Sunday dinners, picnics, and church gatherings. By the early 20th century, fried chicken had become a beloved dish across the South. It wasn't fast food yet. It was family food, prepared slowly and carefully, often saved for special occasions. When the Great Migration began, African-American families carried this culinary legacy northward, spreading the flavors and traditions of the South into cities across the nation. Fried chicken became a symbol of comfort, resilience, and home. It bridged generations and told a story of struggle and triumph, of families who made something extraordinary from simple ingredients. By the 1950s and 60s, restaurants like Kentucky Fried Chicken brought it to the masses, turning a regional recipe into an American institution. Yet behind its golden crust lies a complicated history, one tied to class, race, and survival. What started as a meal of necessity for many became one of America's most celebrated dishes. Today, every crunchy bite carries the story of creativity and endurance, a taste of history that still brings people together. And while fried chicken told the story of the South, another handheld classic told the story of summer. The sizzle of street vendors, the roar of the crowd, and the unmistakable flavor of the American hot dog. It's the sound of summer, the crack of a bat, the cheer of the crowd, and somewhere in the distance, a vendor shouting, "Hot dogs. Get your hot dogs." The story of the hot dog begins, like much of America's story, with immigrants. In the 1800s, German and Austrian newcomers brought their beloved sausages, frankfurters and wieners, to the bustling streets of New York City. To make them easy to eat on the go, vendors began tucking them into soft rolls, serving them hot and fast to working-class crowds. By the early 1900s, hot dogs were everywhere, at fairs, Coney Island boardwalks, and baseball parks. They were cheap, portable, and full of flavor. The perfect meal for a country on the move. It wasn't long before each city gave the hot dog its own personality. New York's onions and mustard, Chicago's pickles and relish, Detroit's chili, and the simple all-American version served at backyard cookouts. The hot dog wasn't just food, it was community. From street corners to ballparks, it brought people together. Soldiers returning from World War II celebrated with cookouts. Families grilled them on summer evenings. And for millions, their first taste of freedom came with mustard on a bun. But like so many things, the hot dog story is more than nostalgia. It's a reflection of the American spirit, built by immigrants, shared by all, and endlessly reinvented. What started as a humble sausage became a national symbol, a taste of simpler times when joy could be found in something as small as a picnic, a ball game, or a bite of summer. And while the hot dog fed our summers, one humble dish comforted Americans year-round. Creamy, cheesy, and endlessly loved. Let's talk about macaroni and cheese, the great American comfort food. It's the dish that warms the heart and fills the soul. Golden, bubbling, and covered in a blanket of melted cheese. For generations, macaroni and cheese wasn't just dinner. It was love served in a bowl. The story of macaroni and cheese goes back much further than most people realize. While it feels deeply American, its roots stretch across the Atlantic to 18th century Europe, where Thomas Jefferson first encountered macaroni during his time in Italy. Captivated by the dish, he brought back pasta machines and recipes, introducing it to American tables. By the 19th century, baked macaroni with cheese sauce had become a staple in Southern cookbooks, served at church suppers and family gatherings. But it was the 20th century that turned it into a national treasure, especially after Kraft introduced boxed mac and cheese in 1937. During the Great Depression and World War II, when meat and fresh produce were rationed, this quick, affordable dish became a lifeline for families. Macaroni and cheese became more than food. It became comfort. It reminded people of home, of mothers stirring sauce on the stove, of children scraping the last cheesy bits from their plates. It was the meal that brought families to the table, no matter how hard times got. And even today, it's a reminder that simplicity can be deeply satisfying. But maybe what's most remarkable is how this humble dish has endured. From Jefferson's refined dinners to Depression-era kitchens, and now to modern restaurants serving truffle mac and cheese, it's evolved, yet never lost its soul. In every gooey bite, there's a taste of American history, rich, resilient, and comforting. These dishes, from apple pie to mac and cheese, aren't just recipes. They're memories stitched into the story of America itself. When we think about America, we often picture the people, the places, the moments that shaped us. But food tells its own story. From the sizzling grills of backyard barbecues to the quiet hum of diners at dawn, from a slice of apple pie cooling by the window to a box of mac and cheese feeding a family during hard times, every bite carries a memory. These aren't just recipes. They're reminders of who we were and who we still are. A nation built on simple ingredients, courage, creativity, and comfort. Because in the end, it wasn't just about eating. It was about gathering, sharing, remembering. So maybe the next time you sit down to a cheeseburger or stir a pot of chili on a Sunday afternoon, take a moment to taste the past, to feel the warmth of those who came before us. This is the America we remember, and the flavors we'll never forget. If you enjoyed this journey through American history and flavor, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss another trip down memory lane. Until next time, keep remembering.